We're learning more details about a recent work trip to Vienna, Austria, attended by 3 Portland city councilors and their teams, costing the city over $47,000.
And the trip was to study the city's social housing model. Fox 12 investigative reporter Adrian Thomas joins us now in studio with the details.
Well, Riel, Nora, these councilors and a handful of their staff recently traveled to Vienna, Austria to learn about the city's social housing program. They were there for about a week for this program between September 6th through 12th. The councilors, part of a larger group of Portland architects, urban planners, and other housing stakeholders, released their office's total costs last week after inquiries from Fox 12 Investigates. Now, the councilors who attended were Homeless and Housing Committee Chair Candace Avalos, Mitch Green, and Jamie Dunphy. The costs of the trip weren't brought up in today's City Council Committee meeting on housing and homelessness, but the councilors mostly discussed how they could apply Vienna's practices to the Rose City. Notably, the councilors talked about how Vienna's spending per capita on publicly financed and controlled housing is only about a third of what Portland spends per capita on fighting homelessness. The councilors felt while it could take time, shifting housing priorities to mere Vienna could be worth it.
It shows us that stable, affordable housing at scale is not just possible, but it's sustainable when a city is making it a priority. They treat housing as a public good, not as a profit machine, and that choice is popular. Their residents defend the system because they experience its benefits every day.
And you can see the numbers here. Over $47,000 was spent in total between the two offices. Each councilor's office said that this money came from an allotment already budgeted to each office and that the councilors could use at their discretion. The cost, according to the councilors, included air travel, lodging, and attending the event with Austrian government officials. Councilor Avalos said the committee will release its first progress report on studying potential social housing models in Portland in early December. Live in studio, Adrian Thomas, Fox 12.